There is a cockroach in your kitchen right now. Not maybe. Not probably. Right now, while you are watching this, one is pressing itself into the gap behind your stove, antennae reading the air, waiting for the lights to go out. You have sprayed for them. You have called someone to spray for them. You have bought the bait stations from the hardware store and the fogger that made you leave your apartment for 4 hours, and killed exactly nothing that mattered. The cockroach behind your stove was not impressed. It came back, it brought others, and somewhere between the second spray visit and the third, you stopped thinking about why the problem persists and started thinking about which company to call next. That is the trap. Not the cockroach. The thinking. Because the answer has been sitting in your kitchen drawer this entire time, next to the leftover takeout napkins, costing nothing. My name is Alex Wong. I'm Chinese. I have been doing building maintenance and pest remediation for going on 14 years, the first 8 of them under a master tradesman who treated every pest problem the same way he treated every plumbing job. Find out what the creature needs, take it away, and it leaves. Simple enough to say. Hard enough that most people never figure it out. In 14 years of working apartments, offices, food prep spaces, and job site trailers, I have never had a cockroach reinfestation in a space I treated with this method. Not once. That is not luck. That is the method. Here is what should bother you. The pest control companies billing your building management every month already know what I am about to show you. They use a version of it in their commercial-grade products. They charge a markup of several 100% and schedule the next visit before they leave. By the end of this video, you will know the mechanism, the exact build, the placement, and the habits that make it permanent. Let me start with what most people get wrong, because if you do not understand this first, the foil does nothing. A cockroach does not wander. That is the first thing. The convenience generation thinks of cockroaches as drifters, creatures moving randomly through a space looking for whatever they can find. They are not. A cockroach is a creature of fixed routes. It follows a chemical trail laid down by itself and by every other cockroach in the colony, a trail built from a pheromone they secret that says, "This path is safe, this path leads to water, this path leads back to shelter." The trail is invisible to you. It is as clear to the cockroach as a painted line on a factory floor. When you spray a baseboard, you interrupt the trail for a few days. The spray degrades. A new cockroach from the gap behind your drainpipe comes in and lays the trail again. The population resets. The visit was not a solution. It was a subscription. The second thing most people get wrong is thinking food is the draw. It is not. Water is. A German cockroach, which is the small, flat, reddish-brown one accounting for the overwhelming majority of indoor infestations, can survive approximately 1 month without any food at all. Without water, it dies in under a week. Every infestation I have ever walked into was anchored to a moisture source. The slow drip inside the cabinet under the sink, the condensation that collects along the back wall of the refrigerator, the residue of water left in a dish rack every night. Remove the water and you weaken the infestation from the inside. Leave it and no treatment holds. The third mistake is visible application. People read about boric acid, they buy a container, they shake a pile of it into a corner, and then they wonder why it sits there untouched. Cockroaches avoid visible obstructions. A pile of powder on a floor is a wall to them. They route around it. The genius of the foil method is that it makes the application invisible to the cockroach, contained against moisture, and placed directly inside the route the creature is already using. You are not hoping the cockroach finds the treatment. You are putting the treatment in the path the cockroach cannot avoid. The material inside the foil is boric acid, sold as a fine white powder, practically without odor, available at any hardware store or large pharmacy, for between $3 and $6 for a container that will treat an entire apartment twice over. It has been registered as a pesticide since 1960. The United States EPA classifies it as low toxicity to mammals. The World Health Organization places it in a category not considered a human carcinogen. You can find it in contact lens solutions. It has been used in eye rinses for over a century. The cockroach, however, has no such luck. The mechanism is purely physical and chemical. When a cockroach walks through a thin dusting of boric acid, Particles adhere to its legs, its joints, the base of its antennae. The cockroach is a compulsive groomer. It cleans itself the way a machinist wipes down a tool, methodically, completely, every pass. When it grooms, it ingests the boric acid. The compound then disrupts the cockroach's digestive lining and degrades its nervous system. Death follows within 48 to 72 hours. The cockroach does not die in the open. It dies in harborage, tucked into the colony. The other cockroaches in that cluster contact the powder on its body. The kill spreads. One exposure becomes a network event. That is not folklore. That is documented in peer-reviewed entomology research, going back to studies published in the 1990s, showing population reductions of over 90% within 14 days of boric acid application. The foil is the delivery system that makes all of it actually work. Here is how you build it. Cut a strip of standard aluminium foil approximately 14 inches long and 4 inches wide. If your foil is lightweight, fold it once lengthwise to double the thickness. Fold the strip in half lengthwise, but do not crease it flat. Leave a shallow open channel running the length of the strip, a gentle V shape. Shake a thin line of boric acid powder into that channel. Thin means thin. A line the width of a pencil, no more. A visible pile defeats the purpose. You want a dusting, barely there, something the cockroach walks through without registering it as a barrier. Fold the long edges of the foil up slightly, a 1/4 inch on each side, to keep the powder from spilling when you lay the strip down. You now have a self-contained delivery strip, waterproof on the outside from moisture in the cabinet or condensation from the wall. Invisible boric acid on the inside, sitting exactly where the cockroach walks. The whole build takes 4 minutes. Placement is where most people lose the benefit. The strip goes in dead zones, not on open floors, not on counters. In the gaps the cockroach already owns. The floor gap behind the stove, between the appliance and the wall, is the single highest value location in any kitchen. Pull the stove out if it moves and lay the strip against the back wall, channel facing up. The gap under the sink along the back wall where the drain pipe enters the cabinet is the second location. The strip goes flat on the cabinet floor against that back wall. The narrow space behind the refrigerator along the floor, near the compressor, is third. A thin strip at the rear baseboard in the bathroom, behind the toilet, is fourth. Inside any cabinet where you have seen droppings or egg casings, lay a strip flat at the back corner of the shelf. In each location, the strip is out of sight, protected from foot traffic, protected from cleaning, and sitting directly in the route the cockroach is already using. Leave the strips in place for 14 days without disturbing them. For the first 3 days, you will see no obvious change. This is where people lose patience. Remember the mechanism. The roach grooms, ingests, dies in harborage, and spreads the powder to others. The colony is collapsing from the inside before you see a single body. Around day 4 or 5, activity at the drain and counter drops. By day 10, in a moderate infestation, it has largely stopped. For a heavy, long-established infestation, run the treatment for 6 weeks, refreshing any strips that were displaced or dampened, to work through 2 full egg cycles. The strips handle the population already in the apartment. Your habits determine whether a new one establishes. 3 things. Fix the water first. Water. Every persistent drip under a sink, every surface that stays damp overnight, every dish left sitting in water is a resource the cockroach is in your apartment to reach. Eliminate the standing moisture, and you remove the reason it crosses the building to get to you. Seal the entry points second. A tube of silicone caulk costs $4. The gap where the drain pipe enters the wall under your sink is an open door. The gap at the base of the cabinet where it meets the floor tile is an open door. 30 minutes with a caulk tube closes those routes permanently. Clean the heat and grease from the back of the stove and the underside of the range hood regularly, because accumulated cooking grease is both a food signal and a chemical beacon that announces your kitchen to cockroaches in adjacent units. Those 3 habits combined with the strips clear the infestation and hold the apartment clear after it. Let me say plainly what this costs, so there is no ambiguity. 1 container of boric acid, $3 to $6. 1 roll of aluminium foil, already in your drawer. 1 tube of caulk if you do not own one, $4. Total outlay for a complete apartment treatment, under $10 one time, with enough material left for 2 more treatments. A monthly pest service contract on a standard apartment runs between $60 and $120 per visit. 12 months is between $700 and $1,500, and at the end of those 12 months, the service will tell you they need to come back next month. They will always need to come back next month. That is not pest control. That is a business model built on a problem that never quite resolves. The boric acid inside their commercial bait products is the same compound you buy at the pharmacy for $4. The plastic housing and the brand name are what you are paying for. Nobody runs an advertisement for a strip of foil and a $3 powder. There is nothing to sell you again next month. So nobody told you. That is the whole of it. This weekend, pull your stove out, take a flashlight under your sink, check behind the refrigerator. You will find evidence of where they have been living. Make your strips, place them, seal the pipe gaps with caulk, fix the drip if you have one, then leave it alone for 2 weeks and let the chemistry do what chemistry does. Tell me in the comments what city you're in and how long the problem has been running, because a new infestation and a 2-year infestation need slightly different timelines, and I want to hear what you find. Next time, I'm going to show you the method my master used to keep rodents out of a workshop permanently, using 2 materials and a placement principle that changes where they can and cannot go. No poison, no trap rebaiting. Pure geometry. I will see you there.